My name is Laura Brown, and I've been asked to talk about feet and foot care in Scottish country dancing. I've been Scottish country and Highland dancing since a young age and qualified as an RCDS teacher in 2003. I now dance and teach regularly in RCDS Exeter branch in Devon in the UK. I am a registered HCPC podiatrist and have worked in the National Health Service for 25 years. I'm going to begin with talking a little bit about the anatomy and physiology of the foot. Then I'll look at how Scottish dancing can affect the feet and lower legs, including some common dance injuries and conditions. I will finish off with some advice on how to prevent problems with your feet, when to seek help, as well as some top tips when choosing the best dance shoes for you. Foot is a complex structure with 26 bones in each foot, along with 33 joints, 112 ligaments and 24 muscles. The foot needs to provide a rigid structure for weight bearing, but also be a flexible support to cope with uneven ground and provide balance and shock absorption. It also needs to compensate for any malalignment higher up in the body. The ankle and foot joints allow the foot to move up, which is dorsiflexion, down, which is plantar flexion, inwards, inversion, and outwards, eversions. Sometimes you may hear the word pronation or supination of the foot, and this is a normal position of the foot as it moves through the cycle of walking. However, issues can occur when the foot causes overpronation or oversupination. Precision and good muscular control is needed to perform the steps in Scottish dancing. Weight needs to continually transfer through the balls of the feet and the foot extended to achieve a pointed toe. The leg needs to rotate outwards from the hip to gain a good turnout. I'll talk a bit about this later. Add into the mix the repetitive movements and a limited support and cushioning in dance shoes. A lot of stress is put through the lower limb and can cause injury. The calf muscles, made up of the gastrocnemius and soleus muscles, and the Achilles tendon, are particularly important when dancing. They provide the power and the movement to allow the body to take off from the ground when hopping or transferring weight. Excessive stretching of these muscles and tendons through overuse or poor technique can cause micro tears leading to strains and tendinitis. This presents as pain and inflammation in the affected area, particularly on exercise. In severe cases, a larger tear or rupture may occur, which is a much more serious injury. Despite the Achilles tendon being a thick, strong tendon, it is particularly at higher risk of injury and slower to heal as it does not have a good blood supply. As the heel doesn't take any weight when performing Scottish dance steps, the big toe joint takes a lot of weight in a flexed position. This can be up to 3 to 4 times the weight of the dancer through this very small area of the ball of the foot. This can cause pain across the ball of the foot known as metatarsalgia. Specifically, dancers may develop something called a Morton's neuroma, where the nerve tissue running between the long metatarsal bones gets irritated and inflamed. This can cause intense pain in the ball of the foot, as well as tingling, pain and numbness radiating into the toes. Particularly in the older dancer, wear and tear damage in the joints can also be present, causing pain and stiffness. This is known as osteoarthritis, where the cartilage cushioning between the joints is worn away. As there are so many small joints in the foot, this can be felt as widespread foot pain, but particularly affects the big toe joints. As you can see in this X-ray image, the gaps between the bones where the cartilage should lie and the big toe joint have been eroded, and so the bone is rubbing on bone. Another common site of pain and inflammation is in the plantar fascia, known as plantar fasciitis. The plantar fascia is a thick band of tissue that runs from the heel bone to the toes and acts like an elastic band. At rest, when there is no pressure on the foot, it is in a relaxed state. However, when weight is put through the foot, it becomes stretched and can become inflamed, particularly at the point where it attaches to the heel bone. Hence why pain is generally worse when you put your foot to the floor after rest. Plantar fasciitis is a common condition but can be tricky to resolve. However, regular stretching and good supportive footwear often helps. Horses are more prone to injury when the mechanics of the lower limb are not correct, and particularly when joints are out of alignment. For example, when attempting turnout in Scottish dancing, the hip, knee and ankle should all be in alignment. Sometimes when the turnout is forced, the foot is rolled forward into an overpronated position, causing more strain on the plantar fascia, knee and lower back. The same is true in the upper body when the shoulders and hips should be in alignment, aiming for what is known as a neutral pelvis. This is where the pelvis should be neither tilted forward or backwards, allowing for a small natural curve in the lower back. Another risk for injury is taking weight through the foot when it is in a sickle position. This is when the foot is not aligned with the ankle and the foot inverts or rolls inwards, as well as the toes curving in and the heel dropping back. This destabilizes the ankle and puts dancers at more risk of tendinitis and slips and strains. It is essential to ensure the foot and ankle are in alignment with the toes pointed down. There are other factors that also place dancers at greater risk of injury. This includes when a dancer is tired, dancing on a hard, slippery or sticky floor, or when wearing ill-fitting dance shoes. Older dancers or in dancers where there's an underlying health condition, there is also a greater risk of injury. The good news is that there are ways to prevent problems occurring through good foot care, wearing appropriate footwear, and completing warm-ups and cool-downs. Always trim your toenails straight across, avoiding cutting them too short or cutting down the sides of the nails. This will help reduce the risk of ingrown nails developing. Wash and check your feet daily, drying well between the toes. Also, applying a regular moisturizing cream will help keep the skin supple and more resilient and will help to reduce the risk of hard skin building up. Avoid putting any cream between the toes though, as this can get too soggy. When buying outdoor footwear, it is best to get your feet measured later in the day when they are at their biggest. Aim for a 1 to 1.5 centimetre gap between your biggest toe and the end of the shoe. Ideally choose a wide-fitting shoe with a fastening to give you the most support and stop your feet slipping around within the shoe. If you aren't sure whether your shoes fit you, you could stand on a piece of paper, draw around your foot when standing and cut it out and see if it fits inside your shoe. If it doesn't, you know your shoe is too small. Also, it's recommended that you try and keep your slippers to wear in the evening when you're not doing too much walking around, as they don't offer very much support. Also, don't forget that well-fitting socks are important too. Choosing the right dance shoe can be a real challenge, both in terms of size and style. Traditionally in Scottish country dancing, men wear gillies and ladies wear a dance ballet pump. However, it's a lot more common now to see a variety of shoes on the dance floor, ranging from pumps to jazz shoes to dance trainers. All of them have their advantages and disadvantages, and the first thing to just do is to decide what you want from your shoes. i.e., are you taking part in competitions or displays where precise footwear is needed, or are you after comfort when social dancing? Or do you need something that is more supportive that can accommodate your own orthotic or insole? It's also important to consider your foot shape and type. If you are not sure, it is worth trying a variety of sizes and styles, and I'd recommend wearing the socks or tights that you're likely to be wearing when you're wearing those shoes, as well as taking with you any insole you need to accommodate in the dance shoe when you are trying them on. Traditional lace-up gilly is more supportive than a basic pump and may accommodate a small insole. The flexible leather allows for a nice pointed foot. The ballet pumps tend to be inexpensive and in a range of colours and are easy to put on and also give a good point. However, there is very minimal support in a pump. In both styles, there are now options for built-in cushioned insoles, which I'd recommend. You may also be given the choice of whether to have a full sole or split sole shoe. The full sole offers more structure but is not as flexible, as opposed to a split sole which has less structure but is easier to get a good pointed foot due to there not being any sole in the arch of the foot. The other option you may be given is whether to have a straight lasted shoe or a right or left lasted shoe. The straight last tends to be narrower and the shoe stretches with wear, as opposed to the right-left lasted shoe, which is wider across the front of the foot from the start. Those with toe deformities such as bunions may find that the extra width in the right and left lasted shoe is important. If you have a particularly wide foot, it may be worth going up half a size, and for a narrow foot, go down half a size. Alternative dance shoes include jazz shoes, and these are often laced and are still soft and pliable, especially when the leather sole is chosen over a plastic sole. These offer more support than a traditional dance shoe, are adjustable, and often can accommodate an orthotic. The shoes with a heel, such as a Greek sandal or a carrot shoe, are often chosen by teachers who are not doing a lot of dancing but still want to do a little bit of demonstrating. The small heel and roomier toe box is more comfortable but remains flexible. Dance trainers are occasionally seen in Scottish dancing now, mainly in those returning from injury. They are supportive and cushioning, but cannot provide the precision and point required for more technical dancing. Due to Scottish country dancing being physically demanding and placing enormous stress on the body, it is recommended that a warm-up is completed before starting to dance fully, and this will help to reduce the risk of injury. It is suggested that a cardiovascular warm-up is completed first to increase the blood flow to the muscles, for example marching around the room or doing a walking dance. This should then be followed by strength and mobility exercises, ideally mimicking the movements that will be needed when dancing and working in a logical sequence from top to bottom or bottom to top. This section of the warm-up helps to strengthen the body and increase the range of motion in the joints and muscles. As well as preparing the body physically for exercise, a warm-up also prepares the dancer mentally by increasing alertness and concentration. After dancing, it is also recommended that a cool-down is completed to allow the body to return to its resting state and promote recovery. Stretching the muscles also helps to release the build-up of lactic acid, reduces the risk of cramping, and helps to maintain the range of motion in the joints and tissues. The RCDS has recently published an updated guide to warming and cooling down for Scottish country dance teachers, and it is a great resource for teachers and dancers alike on the importance of warm-up and cool-down, and includes suggested exercises for each stage. Conclusion. The feet are really complex structures, and they must bear a great deal of weight and stress during Scottish dancing. To reduce the risk of injury, my top tips would be: number 1, always try and arrive in time for a warm-up at class. Try and also do a cool-down as well at the end. Number 2, choose dance shoes carefully. Unless you're dancing in displays or competitions, choose a shoe that is comfortable and aim for shoes with built-in cushioning. And make sure there's enough room to accommodate your own insole if needed. Number 3, tell the teacher if you have any injuries or health conditions that may affect your dancing. Number 4, stop if something hurts. Most minor injuries will resolve with rest and home therapies. However, seek professional advice if it doesn't improve, particularly after 2 weeks. Number 5, finally, take really good care of your feet. You only get one pair. Thank you for listening.